Okay, and now it's time to talk about how we design new systems. Now let's try to understand the currently anticipated 6G industry and standardization roadmap. So let's go through actual roadmap and how does it work, how we usually design new systems. Usually it is a very, very long journey when three large ecosystems comes together: regulation, industry, and academia. Usually when it comes to 4G, 5G, 6G networks, it started with academia. It started from academia, from fundamental research. Moreover, as we already discussed, fundamental research has its roots many years ago in some concept ideas 50, 60 years ago, yes. For example, fundamental research in MIMO, in distributed antenna systems, in inter-base station coordinated, was written many years ago, yes. And only after 20, 30, 40 years we got coordinated and multi-point transmission and reception features in 4G or massive MIMO features in 5G. It is okay when you look at scientific papers and you don't understand because sometimes it seems very futuristic, very positive about future. What we consider as a science fiction of tomorrow became a reality of today. When it comes to next steps, it is about applied research and cooperation. And applied research and cooperation usually is a weak point of any academia, of any institute, university, school, because it requires cooperation, basically cooperation with industry, with vendors, with hospitals, automotive industry, space industry, mining industry, so on and so forth. So academia try to understand the industry needs, the industry requirements, KPIs for any particular use case and systems, and it is not easy task. It is the same about predicting first iPhone, before the first iPhone came to market. Why so long? Why it usually takes about 10 years between each generation? Because industry, because standardization, standard parts. Someone who works on standards, they responsible for basic things, they responsible for main things, such as you will be able to connect, you will be able to call your friends, and it doesn't matter what type of phone you use, what type of networks, operators, everything works. It doesn't matter of hardware, software capabilities, yes. This is actually the main aim of any standard, to make it possible to use any vendor, any service, and make it available for everyone. So just think about your friends, for example. How long does it take to came to common thoughts when you dispute, when you discuss something with your friends? Yes, sometimes it can require a few hours, few days, yes, to come along to this same decision. How much time basically it requires to agree on every word, on every specification, on every page of standard between Huawei and Samsung, between Nokia and Ericsson, between large companies, thousands of companies working 3GPP. This part, industry part, required a lot of work groups, considering use cases, considering standards, performing trials, performing first early deployments, rollouts. That's why we probably also rethink the standardization way. And when it comes to regulations, this is basically government side. They usually comes to use case consolidations, defining KPIs, trying to understand what they need, of course, spectrum allocation. When it comes to use cases and spectrum regulation, for example, we can take an example of Russia when still there is no 5G. because in C-band is occupied by military structures. Or we can take an example, Starlink. Starlink operation is prohibited in Armenia, as far as I remember. It is not allowed again because of in that part of spectrum military services works. So this is basically how we design new system. Three main things: academia, industry, and regulations, and they should agree on every detail to each other. That's why it usually takes about 10 years between 3G, 4G, between 4G, 5G, and there is a hope that 6G will be a little bit earlier than that we expect.